What's up everyone, I am Fabi Makeup, but I've always wanted to do a side-by-side comparison of what my face looks like with primer and without primer. So that's what we're gonna do today. How much does it really fill in pores? How much does it soften fine lines and wrinkles? Also, if you're new here, welcome. I'm Fabi, and I invite you to subscribe to the channel and to like this video. The very first thing we're gonna do is to set ourselves up for success. So moisturize your face. Please make sure that your skin is properly hydrated. For reference, I have dry skin. I'm 42 years old. I do have texture on my face, mainly on my cheeks and my nose and this area of the forehead, but I would say mainly my cheeks. This is what it looks like. We're gonna take a small amount, and I like to kind of work it in there to fill the pores instead of gliding down in only one direction. This is a very silky primer. It definitely looks like it's blurring a bit. Now I'm gonna go in and do the rest of my face like I normally would. I try to use as little product as possible and build it in light layers. I don't use a lot on my forehead. I'm really just trying to even out my skin with the foundation. For concealer, I'll be using my Closeups in 5.50. Just a little bit. If I need more, I'll add more. Also here around the nose, a little here in the corners of the mouth. And then start blending with a damp sponge. I forgot to mention that for this video, I only had eye makeup on, and that's it. The rest of the skin was bare, aside from moisturizer. I used the Bobbi Brown face base. In general, I don't strive to get 100% of a flawless face. I like to even out my skin tone on my cheeks because that's where I have melasma. I do want to make sure that I'm putting on the same amount of product on both sides, since what we're testing here is the efficacy of the primer. I'm looking at this area. Does the right side look smoother to you? So let's just keep going. Now we're gonna move on to bronzer. I'll be using Hoola from Benefit. This is a tiny, cute little package. It came in a set. I got this brush recently. This is the F44 from Sigma because I wanted something flat and fluffy specifically to apply bronzer here on the hairline. And it's working very well, I'd say. And then I can lay it flat and just go over the whole forehead if I want to. Some warmth to the nose. So something kind of cool, when I was researching this primer that we used, one of the main ingredients used in this primer is dimethicone. So I was curious and I did a little bit of research. Turns out that dimethicone is a silicone derivative. So what do dimethicones do? Turns out that they degrease the surface of the skin a little bit. What else? It also supposedly softens the edges of skin cells. And so it helps the top layer of the skin lie flat and even, therefore looking smoother. And I'm not professional, I'm not a dermatologist. This is just from the research that I did. Now let's move on to blush. For blush, we're gonna do this one from LA Girl, the Island Hottie palette I picked up at the drugstore the other day. And I'm thinking coral. Let's do coral. I'll mix these two. This one over to the right has more luminosity, which will emphasize your texture, so I'm already seeing it. Maybe I shouldn't have done that, but I have to do the same thing on the other side so we can compare both sides fairly. Yikes. Seeing a lot of texture over here, and a lot of texture over here too. So mental note, I will not be bringing in luminous products to my problem areas. We're gonna finish things off with a setting spray. And what I love about this step is that if you're thinking that your face is looking a bit powdery, setting sprays will solve that problem more. And this is one by ColourPop, Pretty Fresh Hyaluronic Acid Setting Mist. I can't recommend it just yet. I'm still testing it. So far, so good. It's scented. It smells like coconut. For lips, I'm going to use this lip oil that I have handy. This one is from Sigma, Renew Lip Oil in Tranquil. Makeup is done. What do you think? I'm seeing texture on both sides. I was hoping for a more drastic difference. I don't know. But yeah, that's too bad. I was hoping to see more of a difference, obviously. I wanted a good before and after. Oh well. If you enjoyed this video, please remember to give it a thumbs up. It really helps. I'm not satisfied with the findings. Maybe I didn't use enough primer. I tend to be quite light-handed. So I'm gonna do it all over again with a different primer. Well, first I washed my face, took all my makeup off except for my eyeshadow. Now we're gonna go on to the next primer that we're testing. This one is from Tarte, and this time I'm gonna add more, at least more than before. I don't know what the recommended amount is. Get it in there. I never put this much on. I would expect it to peel as soon as we start putting foundation on. Wow, okay, so looking in the mirror, there is definitely a huge difference. If this doesn't peel, I'm gonna be very impressed. Yeah, I mean, one side of the face looks blurred now and the other doesn't. Same foundation. At this stage, I'm still seeing a big improvement on this side. So definitely more texture here. This orange, which was a mistake. I don't want to do it. Okay, fine, I'm gonna do it. Same thing on the other side. So it's very possible that the first product, the one from Smashbox, does work, but I used too little of it. Okay, now the spray has dried. This is the side with the primer. And I think that there is an undeniable difference. Absolutely, this side looks better. I'm so happy that it works. Why? Why am I happy that it works? I know why, because now I know whenever I'm contemplating whether or not to buy a primer, in the back of my head, I can remember this day and say, yes, there is a possibility that this primer that you're thinking of buying will work, because this one did. But now I'm really curious whether this Tarte primer is better than Smashbox, or if I didn't use enough of the Smashbox primer. Yes, of course I'm trying again. This is easily 4 or 5 times the amount of primer that I used the first time. Maybe I've been using too little product this whole time. Man, should I keep going, really? There's still a lot left. I'm not gonna use the whole thing. This just feels thick already. Maybe that's how it's supposed to feel. Yeah, so I have this much left. I used a lot. I mean, it really feels cushiony even. So something odd is happening here. You see that you can see the marks of the brush as I'm pressing it, as I'm stippling the foundation in? That did not happen with the Tarte primer. Maybe it's that I used too much primer and it's making the brush is making a dent. Okay, I'm lightly going over those dent marks and they're blending out just fine. There's definitely a difference. This side looks much better. The pores look filled in. Okay, setting spray is now dry. This is the side with the primer. Does one look better than the other? Let me grab my mirror. Yes, I think that this side looks better. This side looks better than this one. Do I think that this primer is doing a better job than the Tarte primer? Not necessarily, but when I go to edit the video, I'll look at both side by side. Okay, so now I know I've been using too little primer this whole time. How much primer did I really use here on this side? I would say a pea-sized amount for one half of the face, whereas normally I would use like a quarter of that. Primers that we looked at were more of a pore filling consistency. They weren't liquidy. So don't expect the same results from a liquid primer. From a pore filling primer, however, you can use a lot more. You should use a lot more than I thought you could. I'm so happy I did this. Well, that's it for this video. I hope you found it interesting. I certainly did. Don't forget to give it a like and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.